Ian Rims joins us from our Lagos studio. Welcome. A 16.39 trillion naira budget of economic growth and sustainability has been proposed for expenditure by the federal government for its services in the 2022 fiscal year. President Muhammadu Buhari presented the appropriation bill before the joint session of the National Assembly. He described it as crucial in his administration's efforts at ensuring that critical projects are completed, put to use, and improve the general living conditions of Nigerians. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports on what has been described as the first gender-responsive budgeting in the nation's history.
It was a warm and befitting welcome for President Muhammadu Buhari in the hallowed chamber of the National Assembly as he formally presents the 2022 Appropriations Bill for consideration and approval. The budget proposal, the last expected to be fully implemented by this administration, is predicated on conservative oil price benchmark of $57 per barrel, oil production estimate of 1.88 million barrels per day, an exchange rate of 410 naira 15 kobo to $1, a projected GDP growth rate of 4.2%, as well as an inflation rate of 13%. The budget is made up of a capital expenditure of 5.35 trillion naira, non-debt recurrent cost of 6.85 trillion naira, personnel cost of 4.11 trillion naira, 3.61 trillion naira for debt service, and a sinking fund of 292.71 billion naira.
Our target over the medium term is to grow our revenue to GDP ratio from about 8% currently to 15% by 2025. At that level of revenue, the debt service to revenue ratio will cease to be worrying. Put simply, we do not have a debt sustainability problem, but a revenue challenge which we are determined to tackle.
As the Buhari presidency proposes, the 2022 budget is expected to be funded by 10.13 trillion naira oil, non-oil, and other revenues, while a deficit of 6.26 trillion naira will be financed by new borrowings, privatization process, and drawdowns on loans secured for specific development projects.
Some have expressed concern over our resort to borrowing to finance our fiscal gaps. They are right to be concerned. However, we believe that the debt level of the federal government is still within sustainable limits. Borrowing at specific strategic projects and can be verified publicly. Very importantly, we have endeavored to use the loans to finance critical development projects and programs aimed at improving our economic environment and ensuring effective delivery of public services to our people.
Although details on the budgetary allocation to MDAs are yet to be made public, President Buhari gave a hint that defense and internal security will continue to be accorded his administration's top priority.
We remain firmly committed to the security of life, property, and investment nationwide. We will continue to ensure that our gallant men and women in the armed forces, police, and paramilitary units are properly equipped and well motivated. The 2022 budget is also the first in our history where MDAs were clearly advised on gender-responsive budgeting. These are part of critical steps in our efforts to distribute resources fairly and reach vulnerable groups in our society.
President Buhari used the opportunity to appreciate the immense patriotic and collaborative support of the National Assembly to the government efforts at delivering socio-economic development and democracy dividends to Nigerians.
I wish to assure you of the strong commitment of the executive to strengthen the relationship with the National Assembly. Nigeria is currently emerging from a very difficult economic challenge. We must continue to cooperate and ensure that our actions are aimed at accelerating the pace of economic recovery so that we can achieve economic prosperity and deliver on our promises to Nigerian people.
The president once again thanked the lawmakers for the passage of the Petroleum Industry Act and hoped that the implementation of the new law will boost confidence in the nation's economy and attract substantial investments in the sector. From the National Assembly, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the National Assembly says it will keep the promise of ensuring the passage of the 2022 appropriation bill before the end of the year to sustain the January to December budget cycle. During the budget presentation, the leadership commended the president for submitting the proposal in good time. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
The 2021 budget was laid on the 8th of October. That of 2022 came a day earlier. This trajectory enables full implementation of budgets like that of 2022, which since the Fourth Republic made history as the first to be fully implemented, bringing about economic growth despite recession to the benefit of citizens.
Unlike many other countries, Nigeria was able to come out of the recession due to the ability of this administration to deploy the resources to support the economy. Mr. President, the second quarter GDP report released by the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, Nigeria's gross domestic product GDP increased by 5.01% in the second quarter of 2021. The strongest growth since first quarter of 2014 is a trajectory that we need to sustain.
Ensuring greater fidelity to the letter and spirit of our appropriation laws have led to the measurable improvements in public infrastructure, access to education and housing, healthcare, and transportation, among other things.
The National Assembly leadership called attention on the need to put more efforts on key areas for improvements.
The 2021 budget and indeed the 2020 budget provided for significant infrastructure development across the country. It is imperative that we prioritize the completion of ongoing projects on the development of infrastructure in our country. The 2022 budget should target at completion and consolidation of the projects already started.
Today, innovations in technology, the changing nature of global trade, the challenges of cross-border insecurity, and the increasing interdependence of nations, each and together, continue to present challenges we must overcome and opportunities we must embrace.
Ministries, departments, and agencies of government were also issued words of warning to sustain achievements so far recorded.
Recent position taken by the legislature and the executive arms of government to insist on zero allocation to MDS that failed to remit their revenues for the 2022 appropriation. This saw an increase in the contribution of MDS by over 400 billion. It is my view that MDS can contribute to the Federation account much more than that.
We will demand a thorough accounting for the funds previously appropriated, disbursed, and expended. And we will take steps to hold to account those who fail to provide the records we need to make informed decisions on the appropriation bill.
The National Assembly will in the coming weeks be engaged in the scrutiny of the proposal to ensure the delivery of a near-perfect documents from the National Assembly. Lami Ali, NTA News.
Similarly, Nigerians and members of the National Assembly have described the 2022 budget proposal by President Muhammadu Buhari as a budget that will consolidate the gains being recorded in the country. Dayo Ogunshola tells us more.
Reactions centered on specific issues contained in the budget, such as security, infrastructure, revenue generation, and gender issues.
We have to look at it, study very well, then we can make an informed comment about what has been presented.
With the e-custom that is coming, we should be able to make close to 3 trillion. So that's why the president said it's going to be part of those sectors that will drive the economy. A number of new capital projects are going to be implemented. There's also the need to increase spending in some sectors, of our economy. If you take, for instance, humanitarian affairs.
This is first time that the gender issues are being included in the budget of Federal Republic of Nigeria. So I'm excited because what it simply means is that this president have decided to walk the talk.
So we make sure we appropriate a lot of money for ongoing critical projects, such as Second Niger Bridge, Lagos Ibadan, Kano Abuja roads, as well as Kano Maiduguri projects.
What the president has laid, it gives us some hope that next year will be better than this year.
Other Nigerians also have their inputs.
The moment those projects are completed and the more investments are done in the oil and gas sector, we will now begin to reap the dividends. Funding and implementation, you find that Nigerians will have a better life and there will indeed be security and prosperity in the nation.
The lawmakers are optimistic the ministries, departments, and agencies of government will help in fast-tracking legislative work on the budget proposal. From the National Assembly, Dayo Gunshola, NTA News.
We will now bring in Uche Waleke, Professor of Capital Market, from our studio in Enugu to give us his insight on the 2022 budget proposal. Thank you for joining us, Prof.
Thank you very much. It's indeed my pleasure. Thank you very much. It's indeed my pleasure.
Okay, thank you. Prof, the President noticeably in his speech addressed the 2020 budget performance, insecurity across the country, recent economic crisis with regards to crude oil price, and of course, the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, let me take you up on the President's assertion that the proposed budget will promote investments in critical infrastructure, strengthen infrastructure, as well as reduce poverty. What do you think of the prospects of the proposed estimates against the prevailing economic indices that I mentioned earlier? And are you as optimistic as the President?
Yes, let me start by saying I'm optimistic. I also like to start on a note of commendation, commending the executive arm, the President for presenting the proposals in time, and the National Assembly too, that has given us assurance that the proposals will be accorded quick consideration and approval, such that implementation can kick in good time. Of course, if you look at the size of the budget, that's not surprising, given the benchmarks that have been used, which I consider realistic. If you look at the oil price benchmark, for example, at $57 per barrel, against the average we've seen this year, close to $70 per barrel, and projections that we'll have for next year, one could say that's realistic and also conservative. If you're also looking at the oil outputs benchmark, 1.88 million barrels per day, again, you would also say that's realistic against the backdrop of the increased quota that we have. And the implementation of the Petroleum Industry Act, that is also expected to kick in next year, which is expected to reduce, to some extent, pipeline vandalism and some issues with that usually impede output. So I think to a large extent those are realistic. And then speaking in terms of, specifically in terms of the prospects, yes, I also think the priorities are right, which is also why I think the title of that budget, although some might say what is in a name, should have been a budget of inclusive economic growth and sustainability, because the inclusion I see there is in those developments, the innovations in the budget speech. The President talked about gender-specific policies by the MDAs in terms of budgeting. He also talked about poverty reduction. These touch on inclusion. And if you're looking at the priorities again spelled out in that proposal, you have infrastructure.
Prof, it seems you are on the same page with the President. Now, the President also acknowledged that many in the country have expressed concern on borrowing, but believes that the borrowings are within the limit and are on projects that can be verified. How is it possible for Nigeria to spend its way out of recession and curb hyperinflation at the same time? My question?
which is why I'm happy that the president is talking about the new borrowing in the 2022 budget proposal of over 5 trillion, being tied to projects. And if you also noticed the fiscal deficit to GDP ratio compared to 2021, is a little lower. And just as the president rightly noted, if the government, succeeds in getting improved revenue, we have also seen that from 2011, when he said that even the non-oil tax, non-oil revenue increased by 11% as a result of the revenue reforms introduced, such as the cost-to-revenue ratio. So if we have an increase in revenue, coming from the government-independent sources, and we also have that of the oil sector not disappointing, I'm optimistic that if these funds are rightly applied, I'm pretty sure that we'll begin to see the impact, especially against the backdrop of what he said. He talked about ensuring that the MDAs get fully, backed in terms of capital spending, before the year runs out. That all their capital votes, be released before the year runs out. So, if emphasis is on capital spending, that, of course, will rub off positively on the economy.
Adjustments and its anticipated impact is another matter I want to take you up on quickly before we go. What are your thoughts on the suggestion being put forward in certain quarters that rather than pursue more investment in crude exploration and production, it may be wiser to invest at least 30% of NNPC profit in converting existing resources into refined products and halting imports of SAT petroleum products into the country?
Of course, that cannot be overemphasized. Even the president admitted it, that part of why we had that revenue challenge when he was assessing the performance of the 2021 budget, has to do with the fact that we are importing oil. The fuel subsidy is actually eating deep into government revenue and crowding out development funds. So if we are able to invest in our refining capacity and reduce the cost of importing fuel, of course that will go a long way in solving that problem. And of course that will also come from privatizing some of these assets, which is also why one is happy to hear that NNPC will eventually be privatized. So when that happens, of course, we'll save a lot from fuel imports, and we'll have money, free up funds for development purposes.
Thank you so much, Prof. We do hope that at the end of the day, every Nigerian would be improved, talking about our lives and living conditions. Prof, thank you for your time. Prof, thank you for your time. There, it's time for a break. The news continues shortly. Do stay.
Sensational world of love, now accessible through one code, *777#.
The federal government, through NPHCDA, commenced phase 2 vaccination of all persons 18 years and above with safe and effective COVID-19 vaccines approved by WHO and certified by NAFDAC. special arrangement has been made for staff, their dependents and retirees of ministries, departments and agencies of government, private corporate organizations and non-governmental organizations. To benefit from this special arrangement, visit www.nphcda.gov.ng/corporate vaccination/ to obtain, fill and submit the Google form. NPHCDA will contact you within 48 hours. Protect yourself, your family and your workplace against COVID-19. COVID-19 vaccines are free, safe and effective. For further inquiries, call 0700-220-1122 or send a mail to covid19.vaccination@nphcda.gov.ng. This message is from the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency.
Enjoy faster connectivity and amazing discounts in the Airtel HBB seasonal offer. Get a MiFi for 9,999 Naira plus up to 55 GB data, or a router for 19,999 Naira plus up to 160 GB data. Offer valid while stock lasts. More data, more you. Reliable home broadband by Airtel, the smartphone network.
Hello, I'm Ziva, the Zenith Intelligent Virtual Assistant. I can help you open a Zenith bank account, check your account balance, transfer funds to any bank account in Nigeria, restrict transactions on your account, log dispense errors, buy airtime or data, and so much more. Simply save the number 0704 000 4422 and say hi to me on WhatsApp to get started.
The Honorable Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Mrs. Dr. Zainab Shamsuna Ahmed, hereby invites all heads of federal government ministries, departments and agencies, private sector organizations and associations, captains of industries, and other relevant stakeholders to a public presentation and breakdown of the highlights of the 2022 Appropriation Bill. Date, Friday, 8th October 2021. Time, 10 a.m. prompt. Venue, Main Auditorium, Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning in Abuja. Physical and Zoom webinar virtual. Meeting ID, Ben Akabueze, Director General, Budget Office of the Federation. Announcer.
Trust the Center Fresh Liquid Food Gum to refresh your confidence instantly. Liquid Field Gum. Trust the freshness.
The ITF has been a great partner of the Nigerian private sector. They have been a veritable tool in the industrialization of this country. It has become one of the key federal government institutions that can be used as a benchmark for others to emulate. To ensure that the skills agenda becomes government's topmost agenda. Having had 50 years experience behind ITF, they will be able to lead the process.
You've impacted upon the lives of many, many Nigerians, particularly the young people.
Impacting on the life of women is impacting on the life of the family. They have trained over 25 million Nigerians in the last 50 years of their establishment.
Keep it up. We look forward to the next 50 years of glory.
I wish them many more years of active service to our country. ITF has done well. Nigeria is going to do well.
Happy 50th anniversary.
The death as a code of Alhaji Abuja Dusimba, the Sarkin Sharifan Katsina, on the 29th of September 2021. He died at the age of 93 years. He has since been buried according to Islamic rules in Dutsima, Katsina State. Left behind two wives, Hajia Kalele Abbajai, Hajia Fatima Abbajai. And an elder brother. May his gentle soul rest in peace. Allahumma Amin, Ya Rabbil Alamina. Announcer, Dammaliki Yatsina, Usman Abbajai Dusimba.
staying. The All Progressives Congress has commended President Muhammadu Buhari's timely presentation of the proposed 2022 national budget. A National Secretary, APC Ketika Committee, John James Akpano-Dohe, in a statement said the proposed budget is designed to accelerate government's ongoing efforts to diversify the economy through more support for micro, small and medium enterprises, continue investment in vital infrastructure, strengthen security and enable a vibrant, educated and healthy populace. The APC notes that the budget will also impact positively in reducing poverty through targeted social investments and ultimately ensuring good governance. The APC expressed confidence that the 9th National Assembly will sustain its patriotic disposition by speedily considering and passing the 2022 appropriation bill into law to meet the January to December budget cycle achieved by the current administration. The 94th National Executive Committee meeting of the People's Democratic Party has adopted its National Convention Zoning Committee's report, chaired by the Governor of Enugu State, Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi, zoning the party's chairmanship position to the north. Timothy Yusuf reports that the Governor Bala Muhammad 2019 Election Review Committee's report is also to be deliberated upon at the next NEC meeting.
The chaotic scenes at the National Secretariat of the People's Democratic Party this Thursday, as members launched the PDP Secretariat venue of the 94th NEC meeting. The NEC hall was filled to capacity with seats barely available for members who wanted to be part of the crucial decisions that were to be made, particularly on zoning of offices. This meeting is one of the most attended since the party lost power at the center in 2015, with party members, many of who had not been participating in its activities, saying they wanted to be present to contribute their views to the important decision-making process.
PDP is above any personal or individual or collective consideration. Our focus should first be our country, Nigeria. Every interest, please, personal or collective that is not for Nigeria should be set aside. The People's Democratic Party has the right to determine its rules on how the party should be governed. The people of Nigeria also have the right to determine who governs them.
The party's National Publicity Secretary, Kola Olobodion, conveyed NEC final position.
Our NEC approved the zoning as presented, which, as you understand, the positions that are in the south will go to the north, and the positions that are in the north will go to the south.
The zone that will produce the PDP presidential candidate for the next election is yet to be decided. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
And still on political matters, President Muhammadu Buhari has granted audience to Governor Willie Obiano, restating his unshakable resolve towards ensuring that the forthcoming Anambra governorship election is not only peaceful, but also free, fair, and credible. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that discussions at the closed-door engagement also touched on the recent threat to impose a state of emergency in the state.
Governor Willie Obiano's visit to President Muhammadu Buhari, the first since October 2020, is coming barely 24 hours after the Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, made public that no possibility is ruled out by the federal government, including the imposition of a state of emergency in Anambra State towards ensuring that the November 6th governorship election is conducted as scheduled and peacefully too. After the closed-door engagement with the president, the governor told journalists that he is convinced that the justice minister's assertion has nothing to do with the Nigerian leader.
Because less than 15 people were killed in Anambra in 2 weeks, is that the reason for somebody to call for a state of emergency? That's a very unfortunate comment by Malami. I also reported that to the president, and the president didn't suggest that. President is firm. He wants a peaceful election in Anambra State. He wants a free and fair election in Anambra State. That's the president for you. He reassured one more time that election will hold in Anambra State, and that election will be free and fair. We're getting more equipment, more boots on ground, and I believe in less than 2 weeks, all these things will be over. We'll overwhelm and conquer all these miscreants that came from other states nearby to come and harass Anambra.
Governor Willie Obiano said Anambra State, regarded as the light of the nation, cannot thank President Buhari enough for improved federal presence in critical economic sectors.
I thanked Mr. President for completing one segment of Umunya to Oka Road, and I pleaded with him to also commence work on the other segment so that the road will be fully done. I also thanked him for making Anambra an oil-producing state with 15 wells. Commended him for the support he's given to my administration all these years. As you guys know, by March 17, it will be all over, and I would have finished my second term. I also commended Mr. President for his forthrightness.
The governor said he is not worried that even as the governorship election draws near, members of his party, Abuja, in the State Assembly, continue to defect to the APC.
Let me tell you, it's a ploy. Those people that went to APC now, they went to collect money. They are still Abuja. They are giving us information on what is happening in the APC camp.
President Buhari also granted audience to the chairman of the Nigeria Governors Forum and governor of Ekiti State, Kayode Fayemi, and his Kebbi State counterpart, Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, who is also the chairman of the Progressives Governors Forum. Details of their discussions held behind closed doors were not disclosed. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
And still on the Anambra election, a total of 2,525,471 eligible voters are expected to participate in the November 6 Anambra governorship election. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, made this disclosure in Awka at the presentation of voters' register for the forthcoming poll to political party representatives and other relevant key players. We also hear that 18 political party candidates made INEC's final list for the election. Details of that report will come in subsequent bulletins. Now to other matters now. Minister of Information and Culture Lai Mohammed has appealed to media organizations to leverage their influence for the promotion of national peace, unity and social cohesion. He made the appeal in Kano at the 75th General Assembly and 20th Annual General Meeting of the Broadcasting Organizations of Nigeria, Bonn. Abdullahi Mustafa has the report.
Event that holds annually. It provides a platform for stakeholders in the Nigerian broadcast media to take stock of successes and challenges in the industry's operations.
We want to sanitize the broadcast industry.
Broadcasting between national interest and public interest is the theme of the annual general meeting. As critical stakeholders, therefore, Minister of Information Lai Mohammed, who was represented, stressed the need for the nation's media not to give room for the promotion of hatred and disunity.
At a time that our nation is facing a big challenge of insecurity and threat to national unity, divisive and hate messages, as well as misinformation being peddled by certain broadcast media constitute great risk.
We must continue to uphold the professional ethics of accuracy, objectivity, neutrality, fairness, decency, and national interest.
The federal government should develop a more proactive strategy and framework for dealing with the social media.
Addressing key problems surrounding the digital switchover project is one of the major concerns of delegates. A new leadership is expected to emerge at the end of the meeting as Sir Ibrahim bows out as Bonn chairman. In Kano, Abdullahi Mustafa, NTA News.
Let's take a trip to Lagos now, where Hingino will feed us with the latest. Hingino, it's over to you.
Thank you, Iyare. Drug abuse is a challenge that has attracted global attention because of its disastrous effects. The NDLEA is mindful of the menace, and Chairman of the agency, General Buba Marwa, retired, has promised to continue the fierce fight against it until Nigeria is free from substance abuse. Our correspondent gives us details. Report by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime shows that global drug abuse statistics stands at 5.6%, while Nigeria has almost 3 times the global data with about 14.4%. This depicts how substance abuse has eaten deep into the country. More worrisome is that most drug abusers are youths.
These criminal elements are using these innocent minds to move these drugs around to sell with the hope that because they are young, you will overlook them. You will not want to search them.
The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency chairman is leading the vanguard by involving like-minded people.
If I had my way, drug abuse would be a topic of daily discussion in the public sphere across Nigeria. If not for anything, but to heighten society's awareness about the need to act decisively, urgently, and comprehensively against this pervasive, destructive habit.
Many of these people are on the streets, even though they may be functioning in one way or the other, but life has just become very, very meaningless for them.
Each pill, each needle, each sniff, and each drug entails great danger, and defeating this monster is important. To win the fight against substance abuse, experts are advocating fast and decisive actions through collaboration and adequate youth engagement. A 2-week mandatory training for chief executive officers of federal parastatals and agencies is underway in Lagos. Ruth Ario Samuel reports that the training, organized by the Administrative Staff College of Nigeria, ASCON, is the 5th in the series.
The training is to empower chief executive officers with knowledge of the essential principles and tenets of public administration, as well as the rules and regulations governing the operations of public service. It will also impact participants with skills for sound management, strong governance, and results. Director General, ASCON, Cecilia Gaya, while lamenting the low turnout of participants, emphasized that the training is an opportunity for CEOs to network and learn from each other.
This kind of situation provides an opportunity for chief executives to network, to challenge each other, for example, on some of the issues that will be raised throughout this process of the program. And then we also come to agree on some suggestions that we may need to make to government to change some policies.
The training is an added advantage for the participants.
I hope to take out a lot of management ideas, how to manage my staff, human resource, active talent, improve on public service rules.
Apart from the fact that it gives CEOs the opportunity to interact with each other, it's also supposed to help you deliver a better service to your corporation and Nigeria.
I hope to be better. I hope to be a team player. I hope to provide leadership, and I hope to encourage my staff to be up and doing and to achieve its mandate.
At the end of the 2-week training, participants will be able to better interpret and carry out their roles as chief executive officers in the diversified public service ecosystem. In Lagos, Ruth Ario Samuel, NTA News.
It's now time for another break. The news will be back shortly.
Customer, link your Airtel number to your national identification number today. Here are easy ways you can do it. Dial *121*1# on your Airtel line and follow the prompts on the screen. Type in your 11-digit government-approved NIN number. You will receive a confirmation message to confirm your entry. You can also visit www.airtel.com.ng/NIN to link your phone number to your NIN. If you do not know your NIN, simply dial *346# to get it. No stress, no wahala.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
When you wake up in the morning before you start your day, breakfast time is Kayla's time. For work and for play, for a great start to your day, breakfast time is Kayla's time.
Always start our day with a nourishing Kellogg's breakfast, powered with the goodness of grains and 11 essential vitamins and minerals.
It is available in 90 naira only, with 10% extra inside.
No more get up and go. Kids, we need you. Get going.
For the energy you need to get up and go every day, enjoy Cowbell Choco.
The Super Eagles of Nigeria will get an early feel of the nation's cup atmosphere when they take on Central African Republic in Cameroon. Will they come away with maximum points? Find out this Sunday in the return leg of the FIFA 2022 World Cup qualifier, featuring the Super Eagles of Nigeria versus the Wild Beasts of Central African Republic. Showing on the network service of the NTA and EIT from 1:30 p.m. with live radio broadcast on Cool FM, Wazobia FM and Nigeria Info. You can also join online at sporty.com and MPFL TV. The FIFA World Cup qualifiers are proudly brought to you by BetNiger and supported by MTN, Coca-Cola and Dettol, proud sponsors of the Super Eagles of Nigeria.
Has confirmed the nomination of 4 persons for appointment as chairman, chief executive and executive directors for the board of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority. This followed the consideration of the reports of the Senate Committee on Petroleum Resources Downstream, which screened the nominees. The committee described the nominees as knowledgeable persons qualified for the position.
Idari Ogogo Oga, chairman. Farouk A. Ahmed, Chief Executive, Abiodun Adeneji, Executive Director, Finance and Accounts, Obogu Oka, Executive Director, Distribution Systems, Storage and Retail Infrastructure. The nominees responded to the questions asked in factual and convincing manner. They exhibited a high-level understanding of the entire petroleum value chain.
And time is of essence, and this is an authority that will lay a foundation. And therefore, they need to work hard, they need to be selfless. What they do is going to impact very significantly on the reform of the petroleum industry in Nigeria.
Heading to the courtroom now, the Federal High Court's Abuja has convicted and sentenced Faisal Minor, son of Abdulrashid Minor, chairman of the defunct Pension Reform Task Team, to 24 years imprisonment for his involvement in money laundering and for receiving the proceeds of crime from his father. Justice Okon Abang handed down the sentence at the conclusion of the defendant's trial. Olabode Arewa brings us details.
Faisal Abdurrashid Maina was convicted on 3 counts for operating an anonymous company, Alhaji Faisal Abdullahi Farms, which he used for operating ghost bank accounts and receiving cash inflows from his father, Abdurrashid. The court held that the defendant knew that monetary inflows into the accounts were proceeds of crime. He was sentenced to 5 years on count 1, 14 years on count 2, and 5 years on count 3. The court also ordered the winding up of the company is to refund the sum of 58.1 million naira to the federal government. The court further ordered the government to use all lawful means to extradite Faisal to the country to commence his imprisonment. However, the prison terms are to run concurrently. That means he will serve for 14 years.
We will look at the judgments. Then we will decide which way to go from there. But of course, we are saddened by the fact that our client's whereabouts, as we speak, up to now is still unknown. We are thought the court would have at least taken an inquiry into his disappearance.
Meanwhile, his father, Abdurrashid, is still facing 12 counts of fraud. He was alleged to have perpetrated as head of the pension office at the head of civil service of the Federation. Olabodarewa, NTA News.
The Central Bank of Nigeria is advocating increased patronage and consumption of indigenous products to accelerate Nigeria's target for self-sufficiency in the production of goods and services where Nigeria has comparative advantage. This was the focus of the CBN Special Day at the ongoing 16th Abuja International Trade Fair, with the theme exploring the opportunities of Africa Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA. Boside Ebo reports.
Nigeria is expected to benefit from the elimination of tariff and non-tariff barriers among member nations as signatories to the African Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA. The open market is viewed as a gateway to achieving meaningful growth. Osita Uwanisobi, Director, Corporate Communications Department, Central Bank of Nigeria, says the bank will continue to take active steps and make policies to encourage growth and sound financial system, which will foster economic development, restore confidence in the economy, and effectually conserve the reserves. He also disclosed the unveiling of the central bank digital currency, the e-Naira, will fasten transactions and boost integrity of financial services in the country.
The bank's critical objective was to restore stability in the economy by providing assistance to individuals, MSMEs, and large corporates that have been severely impacted by the pandemic. The operation of e-Naira is safe. I therefore appeal to Nigerians to embrace the e-Naira, just like our beloved Naira.
We understand the dimension and the depth of issues involved in being a central banker in times of national economic emergency.
The event also served as a platform for knowledge sharing and enlightenment on various intervention programs of the bank.
Thank you so much for the support system you've given SMEs.
The CBN says it will continue to strive until Nigeria gets to its destination of inclusive economic growth and sustainable development. In Abuja, Boss Sede Ebo, NTA News.
Time for a quick break. Please stay.
From north to south and east to west, life in Nigeria has become unbearable. The country is faced with what seems to be endless waves of homegrown security threats and violence.
If you sleep now, sleep now. One eye closed, one eye open.
We don't have enough boots on the ground. There's a need for us to scale up recruitment.
A society gets the kind of police that it pays for.
If I can give an estimate, I can say that in a week we used to treat not less than five gunshots.
Before, known Owerri as a cool place. Now, Owerri is too hot.
There's a need to hear us and to look at our grievances and to consider them on their merits.
This na the story of Pekin wey rise to the max. Rain or shine, e
not settle for less. Now the story of small boy we get big talent. Home and away. Wait too. It be like saying the story of one man way fall, but we bounce back in style.
What's it motivate you? I want the big, special, and great.
Watching us live from Big Brother House Studio.
Joy for Osim and his teammates at Chuck as well.
Let we enjoy Max Entertainment together.
Sports or movies, telenovela or cartoon, music or reality TV. With just 6,900 naira, you fit get your Go TV decoder plus 1 month Max subscription. Make you enjoy over 75 channels with for Go TV Max. Make you and your special ones enjoy better things on Max levels. Go TV, love it.
The Super Eagles of Nigeria will get an early feel of the nation's cup atmosphere when they take on Central African Republic in Cameroon. Will they come away with maximum points? Find out this Sunday in the return leg of the FIFA 2022 World Cup qualifier featuring the Super Eagles of Nigeria versus the Wild Beasts of Central African Republic. Showing on the network service of the NTA and EIT from 1:30 p.m. with live radio broadcast on Cool FM, Wazobia FM and Nigeria Info. You can also join online at sporty.com and NPFL TV. The FIFA World Cup qualifiers are proudly brought to you by BetNiger and supported by MTN, Coca-Cola and Dettol, proud sponsors of the Super Eagles of Nigeria.
All right, we did tell you that a new leadership is expected to emerge at the ongoing Bonn AGM. We hear that the CEO of Multi-Choice Nigeria, John Ugbe, has been elected the chairman, Broadcasting Organizations of Nigeria, Bonn. He defeated Godfrey Ohuabunwa of Multi-Mesh by 63 to 35 votes in the keenly contested election in Kano. Meanwhile, experts in information communication technology have identified investment opportunities in data processing as another major source of untapped wealth in Nigeria. This was at the first Nigeria Data Expo in Kefi, Nasarawa State. Suleiman Ove Musa reports.
Continue to dominate and influence global economy, ICT in particular, participants at a two-day data expo saw the need for synergy to unlock opportunities in data to promote investment, government policies, security, as well as record keeping.
The conference is aimed at educating and creating awareness about the importance of data to the citizens of Nigeria, to the economic of the nation, to the growth of the economy, looking at it from the fact that data, as we know globally today, is being tagged as the new oil.
This expo presented an ideal platform where participants gain more skills in data manipulation.
This has really broadened our mind on how to save our data.
Data now becomes a very essential material for every development in the nation.
To many, data is life. From Kefi, Suleiman Ove Musa, NTA News.
All right, let's have a bit of sports.
However, remain Group C leaders with 6 points after 2 wins, while Cape Verde, who beat Liberia 1-0 in the other Group C fixture, moved to second on the standings at 4 points, trailed by Central African Republic, who are also on 4 points. Liberia are fourth with 3 points.
We need to really go back and work on the team. I don't know what will happen. I'm not suggesting that they should sack the coach right now, but the coach really need to put up a very good performance, bring up these players and let them play like a team.
It was shambolic. I saw a team that could not coordinate properly. I saw just individual 11 players on the pitch. They didn't play like people who are playing professional football in across Europe.
Super Eagles and Wild Beasts will meet in the reverse fixture on Tuesday, October 12 in Douala, Cameroon. In Abuja, I am Kenen Ima Aburike.
With the outcome of today's match, it will now seem that Group C of the Qatar 2022 African World Cup qualifiers has been thrown open following Nigeria's loss to Central African Republic in Lagos. All right, that concludes Network News tonight. Many thanks for watching. Please remember that rape is a crime. Speak up and take action. I'm Ian Ray John. Good night.
NTA, you can't beat the reach.
From dusk to dawn, 24 hours a day, NTA International is with you in your living room, office, everywhere and anywhere. We provide the company you desire in terms of balanced and up-to-date news, programs and the best of entertainment. Tune in to DSTV channel 251, GoTV channel 91, Freeview UK channel 264, or you can download www.visiontv.co.uk. App for iOS or Android. You can also see us on Facebook and YouTube for quality content on the go. NTA International, Africa's window to the world.
War is an evil net that traps the innocent and the guilty.
War is a wildfire that spreads beyond the quenching efforts of men.
The weak, the strong, the rich, the poor, even the unborn will have no hiding place.
Tribes and tongues and religions will no longer make any meaning at all.
Knowledge will fail you. The economy will be grounded. Your political connections will be useless. And life in general will be stranded if not ended.
Manipulators, troublemakers, and table shakers will not be exempted.
That is why we must make peace the only option in Nigeria.
Join us in one love to preach peace in all the 36 states in Nigeria, including the FCT.
For peaceful engagements through town hall meetings, rallies, and unity concerts. Remember, the two strongest warriors are patience and time.
Make peace the only option now.
This message is brought to you by the Ambassador of Voice for Change Initiative, supported by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, and the Federal Capital Territory.
Issues in the sports sector remain one of the most debated among Nigerians due to the passion, followership, government involvement, impact on Nigeria's external image and our national life in the sports parliament. The NTA offers Nigerians deep views on issues with experts in the sports sector, offering in-depth analysis, hindsight, insight and foresight towards elevating